Well, we have asked our viewers to send us questions, and we've gotten a lot of really good questions this year. So I'm going to try to work in at least one viewer question per debate throughout the 4 nights that we do this. The question tonight from our viewer is, I'll just read the question as it is listed. A contentious issue last legislative session that is likely to reappear again in the 2025 session is that of tribal land back bills. Would you support legislation giving state land back to local tribes?
I think we have to be careful with automatically giving money or land back to the reservations because we're losing a lot of economics up in that area. So as of right now, I will not support giving the land back to the reservations. There's so much that is coming into that a lot of people don't understand. Someone from the cities, a legislator down in the cities, introduced a bill up here without speaking with any local officials. If there was any local buy-in, if there was local officials and the community was for it, I think we could have a good communication about that. But as of right now, none of that has happened. So I would disagree with how everything did happen. So I would have to go with a no at this point in time.
Thank you. Reed?
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, this is a matter of public land management. You know, just to be clear, there was a lot of rumors going around about whether or not it was going to be state land or private land. This is the bill was specifically just for the management of public land. I think that when you look at the land back that has happened in the state, it happened down in southern Minnesota, the Lower Sioux, that took over a decade to accomplish. I think that we need to kind of maybe take a step back and look at the land exactly that is being suggested, and I'm looking forward to having a conversation with the DNR, with tribal representatives, with good people up in Waskish and the resorts. I believe that public land needs to stay public, so regardless of who is managing it, we will still have public access. So if you hunt and fish up there, if there were to be any kind of management returned to the tribe, you would still be able to hunt and fish there. You know, if you have an easement across land, public land, you would still have that easement. But there's a lot of work to be done. It doesn't just happen with a single bill being drafted. That bill never made it into committee. It didn't really go anywhere last year. I think there's a lot of work to do, a lot of interested parties to talk to, but I think that we can find some kind of amicable agreement, and that's what I look forward to working on once I'm in the legislature.
Bedell, do you have a rebuttal?
I do. Again, we need to bring to everybody's mind that this bill was introduced by someone down in the cities, and it caused a lot of tensions between a lot of people up in that area. So we are sitting back here trying to regain a lot of the relationships that we've had, and we're just because someone down in the cities introduced a bill up here and just dropped it like a grenade and let it blow up. We need to again be smart about things, but no one ever discussed any of this stuff before they introduced this bill with anybody in northern Minnesota. This is unprecedented, and I do not agree with how things happen.
Thank you. Reed, rebuttal?
Red Lake Nation is in northern Minnesota, so it's not like they didn't talk to anybody in northern Minnesota. And I would also say that there are plenty of people, cynical politicians, who are ready to take advantage of this and try and stoke fears, knowing that what they were saying was untrue, to try to get people to be upset and afraid. We could have had a lot of really good discussion last spring when this bill came out, but instead people retreated to their corners because they were afraid. So I look forward to having broad discussions with a lot of people, figure out what the best way forward is, and that's what I intend to do.